Okay. Good morning. It is Monday, December the 3rd, 2018. Can you believe it? It's already December. Hi, everyone. Hello, you. How are you feeling today? I'm Allison Nail-Malone of Malone Consultants Group, and I am a women's executive leadership coach as well as a mindfulness-based stress reduction mentor. Good morning, Kevin. And so this week on our 720 mindfulness message, we're going to talk a little bit about how to bring in a little more mindfulness in ... whatever you would like for that more mindfulness to be in. For a lot of people, work can be pretty stressful, even in the jobs that you love. There are stressful moments. There are moments when life kind of infiltrates while work is happening, and work can infiltrate life as well outside of work, right? And so when I speak with my clients, when I chat with the people that I mentor, even my friends who are particularly those in leadership role, but I find that no matter what the role is, there's always stress involved at some point. And that stress isn't always a bad thing, right? And even in this time for a lot of people, it is pretty stressful. And what happens for a lot of people that I talk to, particularly right now, is that it feels very overwhelming. And the phrase, a common phrase sounds something like, I wish I had more time. I feel so much overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. I wish I could just get my mind to stop running so much. And those things actually can help propel work to move forward. It can help with some creativity. And so when we view those things as things that could be helpful, but when they aren't helpful, what do we do to help kind of navigate with it? For someone like me who is prone to anxiety and stress and overwhelm, techniques also help with navigating with those so that maybe it never changes for me, but maybe I can have better navigation with it versus, feeling like I have to control or change it, right? Hey, good morning, Erica. And so this week in the 720 mindfulness message, and just for those of you who may be new to the 720 mindfulness message, this is 10 minutes or less of bringing in a little bit more mindfulness and awareness into your day with just simple techniques and topics of encouragement and awareness for you as well. And so I want to share just a couple of techniques this week on how to bring a little bit more mindfulness, no matter what your role is when it comes to your work, to create a little bit more mindfulness and help you navigate a little bit more with that stress and overwhelm and anxiety. Again, I'm not telling you that this will cure it. And of course, I'm not a therapist. So this is just a technique that'll help a little bit or a lot, depending on what's going on, to help with some of that stress and overwhelm that you may feel right now. So this one is actually just called the body scan. And you can do this anywhere at any time, pretty much. The first time I tried the body scan was actually when I lived in New York City and I was on a subway, or I was in the train. I was in the subway on my way to get on a train. And for me, being around lots of people in a closed-in space is stressful and overwhelming. Even just kind of thinking about it makes my heart race. Even though I loved New York City, and I actually had grown to love the subway and the experience of it because there was so much happening underground. And even in the trains, it's an interesting experience too, as well, especially when I'm a people observer. Pretty interesting rides as well. But I would feel very stressed out, and I am not ashamed and actually proud to say that I have ongoing counseling and coaching throughout my life. And this was actually introduced to me by a coach that that had been helping me build the beginnings of my business and helping me get through my master's program. And the way that she told me to do this is as I was sitting on the train. So I'm actually just going to kind of emulate what she shared with me. Is I sitting in the chair in the train, and I just took 3 deep breaths. And when we typically breathe from here versus down here, which is in our diaphragm area or our belly area. And if maybe the first couple of times, just put your hand there in your belly area. And just breathe 3 times from there. And you just want to take 3 deep breaths in and out. So in and out. In and out. In and out. This can actually be really helpful in meetings that you might have also when it might be stressful or overwhelming in the moment. And with a body scan, you typically start at the top of your head. But if you're sitting in a subway, if you're sitting in a meeting, doing a full body scan can be a little bit harder to do. But really, when you're in a moment of feeling that anxiety arise, or maybe you're already feeling that anxiety, so I'm sitting in a subway, and I'm just going to focus on how the back of the chair, or how my back feels on the back of the chair. I'm going to notice how the clothes on my skin feel. I'm going to notice how, like in this chair, I have a pillow, so how the pillow feels soft. And then I'm going to feel how the base of the chair feels underneath my legs, where that contact has happened. Is there any space in between the chair and my legs? And then I'm also going to focus on, good morning, Dustin. And then I'm going to focus on how the floor feels underneath my feet. And I'm going to focus a lot more attention there, especially if, as I mentioned in my example, I'm sitting in a subway or I'm in a meeting, or perhaps if I'm standing somewhere, focusing on how the ground is supporting my feet. Thank you for all the hearts, Dustin. I love it. How the ground is supporting my feet and really kind of rooting into that. And then I'm going to remember to take those 3 deep breaths that we started at the beginning. What's beautiful about this short body scan is that you don't have to have your eyes closed. You can actually do this in a room full of people and no one knows that you're doing it. And it'll bring you back to a place of centeredness, especially if you're focusing on how the ground feels on your feet. And if you're sitting, like as I was mentioning in the subway or in a meeting, feet coming back up to how the chair feels underneath your legs and how it feels on your back. And then coming back to your breath again. And you just need to take 3 deep breaths in and out from the belly area. And if you have to, again, just putting your hand right where your belly is and taking those 3 deep breaths. And you can do this in less than 1 minute to bring back the centeredness. Or perhaps if you've got a crying child in front of you and you have to hold your baby. Or, in the case when my father was in the hospital, there were many times where I had to practice this kind of presence and this kind of mindfulness to feeling the back of the chair on my back, the base of the chair underneath my legs, the ground underneath my feet, and in between each of those, taking a deep breath in and out. And it may not cure the anxiety. It may not cure the stress that I'm experiencing. But what it does is bring me back to a centered place, back in control of my emotions, back in control of my mind, back in control of my breathing, which then helps me think more clearly and brings me back to a place of mindfulness. So that's day one. So I'm going to invite you today to choose a moment where maybe you're not even feeling anxiety or overwhelmed, but you just want to have a moment where you feel mindful and present in today's moment. And use this kind of condensed version of the body scan. And in the comments below, as well as in the introduction of this video or this live, I'm going to create a link for you to go to where you can actually practice a deeper body scan before going to bed or first waking up to kind of bring back to the centeredness of the day. I find that using the full body scan right before I go to bed, or the moments when I'm experiencing insomnia, using that full body scan actually helps relax the mind and brings me back and quiets the mind to go back to sleep. So I hope today, today's technique for day one of bringing in a little bit more mindfulness in wherever you would love for that to be was helpful and encourages you to practice the condensed version of the body scan to decrease anxiety and overwhelm and increase your presence and mindfulness for the day. Have an incredible day, and I'll be back here Wednesday at 7:20 a.m. Central for our day two of the bringing in a little bit more mindfulness into whatever you would love for it to be.